Oh, and then I'm very thankful that I was able to get in touch with Dr. Wade, who had very little notice, but was so willing and graceful to be able to jump in and say, yes, I'll take the challenge, Carrie. I'm happy to join and talk a little bit. She is much more inundated with the current activities and the state of digital inclusion efforts going on within Detroit. So yeah, I'll turn it over to Dr. Wade. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Carrie, for the invitation to participate tonight. I'm very pleased to join you and just so happy to continue the conversation about bridging the digital divide in Detroit. My name is Naimah Wade. I am a part of the Connect 313 Coalition, which I'll share a little bit more about that organization and the impact that we are after as a collective. I can tell you that because this is a very special sort of the organizational structure for Connect 313 is probably much more unique than a lot of traditional nonprofits that are going after a social cause. We are actually executing what's known as collective impact. And so we are a few professionals at its core. Our management team are a few professionals from various organizations around the city who are in essence on loan to work on this cause collectively and leverage the resources of our organizations to bring the mission to life. So we can go ahead to the first slide, which is a look at our mission and vision. So essentially, Connect 313 really is two things. It is a coalition and it's actually a citywide plan for digital inclusion. In 2019, the city of Detroit placed and selected its first director of digital inclusion, Joshua Edmonds. And if I have the soundbite right, I believe that role might be first of its kind, maybe in the nation, in a city government role. And so as a trailblazer, he, along with a couple of initial partners, which was Rocket Community Fund, Microsoft, United Way, and the city of Detroit, came around the table to establish what we now know as Connect 313. I will pause right here to just say that I included many more slides, but in the limited amount of time that I just want to highlight a few important things, and then hopefully these slides are shared with everyone that's on the call so that you can kind of see all of the other information that has been provided. But in general, our vision is to ensure that every Detroiter is fully digitally included and improve the quality of life for all residents here. As you heard Dr. Leach say, Detroit is one of the most disconnected city in the country. And we are working every day to make that a story that is of the past. And so we are on this daily mission to put into place by 2024 the means for every Detroiter to have access to appropriate devices, quality internet connections, the technical support that they need, the digital resources they need to improve their learning, employment, and well-being in their outcomes overall. We can go to the next slide, please. So just a little bit of history. As I mentioned to you, really this initiative began in 2019. The next year was really about capacity building, so securing funding, establishing a governance model. Next slide, please. And then last year, we spent a lot of time doing the first full year of implementing some of the operational strategy and the governance model that had been established. Now in 2022, the collective is really working to perfect those operations, making sure that we are living out one of our values, which is to be locally led and expertly informed. And so one of the ways that we connect to community, which I know is a very important part of what we're talking about tonight, is to make sure we have a process by which the community can tell us what solutions they want to see. And in one way, we play the role of a funder and an implementer to bring those ideas to life. So we have a suggestion process that you can find on our website, connect313.org. And in that suggestion process, you can talk about where you're from, what you want to see come to life in your neighborhood. And some examples, we funded in this last year, since I've been a part of the team, we have funded, summer camps for youth to learn digital skills. We funded workshops and programming for adults and for seniors who need to have that bridge from having the appropriate device, like you talked about, Carrie, and then, but actually being able to use it effectively. And we've even, one of the biggest projects that we've been sort of vetting and trying to bring to life is to create charging stations for the homeless, which really sounds like, why would you be even investigating that? But someone in our community said they wanted to see that. We've done some benchmarking. We've looked at places who have already installed this kind of solution in their city to support the homeless population and transient population. And it is something that we are working to bring to life. And so those are just a few examples that help you to understand that we really are trying to listen and lead with research and evidence-based strategies that are going to help us do the thing we want to do by 2024. Next slide, please. And so this is a lot to take in. I'm not going to read this to you, but what I wanted you to understand is that we are structured in a way that allows us to leverage so much genius and wisdom that's already in the community. So we do have a board of directors. We have a joint assembly that's made up of community members, leaders, and those who really care about closing the digital divide. The joint assembly helps to make decisions about suggestions that come in that maybe the investment is less than $50,000. The board, of course, looks at things that cost a little bit more. We also have a community council that helps us to vet the suggestions that come in from the community or the ideas that the management team, which I'm on the management team, we might have seen something in research from another city. We want to try it. And so we vet these ideas before the community council, before we spend time investing or trying to stand these ideas up. And so also the way that we infuse community input and make sure that we are working alongside of Detroiters is to have these 5 committee structures, which you see on the right side of your screen. And so these are our pillars essentially, and every one of these has a manager that sort of leads this body of work. And so for me, I lead the Shared Resources and Special Projects Committee. Under that committee, things like research and learning, data collection are being sort of established, routines are being established, protocols are being established around them, partners are being secured, so that this conversation about closing the digital divide for all stakeholders in Detroit, all levels of stakeholders, can be both collected, organized, and disseminated back out to organizations like you all who are hosting tonight. Next slide, please. And so since 2019, I just want to kind of point out some of the impact, figures that we have realized as a collective. So now we are in the upward of 500 council members. So folks who are part of our community, who show up for our community conversations, who help us to guide decision-making. We've raised more than $40 million in support of closing the digital divide. We've evaluated more than 36 community suggestions. I think we're probably pushing now closer toward 50 as we close the year. And then we've run about 8 campaigns. And so what does that mean, right? How is that helping? Let's go to the next slide. And so this is how that's helping. When this work started, we were using data that told us that 40% of Detroiters were digitally disconnected. And so since that time, we've helped to move the needle, as you can see here, closer toward 70%, trying to get more like 70% of Detroiters connected. So at the time that this research or this data was collected in 2021, we had about 85,000 more households to try to get the means to be connected. And so you can see here that, our idea or our definition of being digitally included as a household, it means that you have reliable broadband internet. It means that you have not a smartphone, but a device that's a computer or a tablet that has a little bit more capacity to support what we consider to be, the management of your daily needs. And then we also consider you to be fully digitally included if you know how to use the device that you have. And so these are, this is just a quick overview of who Connect 313 is, how we're trying to move the needle, and how we are measuring our impact as a part of the Detroit community. I'm not sure if there's time right now for questions, but I'll be participating if anybody has any further questions. That's all I have at this time. Yes, and if you'd love to connect with Connect 313, we would love that. You can see that our website is here. Community members are welcome to join. We just had a community conversation today, and we have those quarterly. And so as we look at our next year, we love to, forge deeper connections with this group as we are moving and focusing in on how we affect health disparities and the seniors in our community, with particular attention to that population. Thank you for the invitation, and I'll be around for questions later.